If you use any of these services, you might have noticed that things broke a little earlier this week. The reason was a failure on AWS, and specifically in their most critical region, US East 1. I'm going to give a very simple but still technical breakdown of what happened behind the scenes. Apps run on the cloud, and AWS is the #1 cloud provider. Now, many AWS services depend whether directly or indirectly on a AWS database called DynamoDB, which is a high-scale NoSQL database. To reach DynamoDB's API endpoint, services have to query DNS. Think of DNS like a lookup service that converts a server name into an actual IP address that apps actually need. The simplest analogy is if you want to call a friend, you usually go into your phone contacts to look for their number and then call them. That contact book is the DNS system. AWS has internal DNS automation that manages DynamoDB's endpoint records, and on Monday, their automation hit a race condition. So there were basically two processes trying to update the DNS at the same time, but in the wrong order, which resulted in a corrupted or empty DNS record for DynamoDB US East 1 Amazon AWS.com. Even though DynamoDB as a database was functioning completely properly, because the record was empty, the apps couldn't actually connect to the endpoint. This single point of failure triggered a cascade. Requests started timing out, automatic retries overloaded servers, and even services that don't depend on DynamoDB but depend on AWS services that depend on DynamoDB failed at a global scale, bringing down at least 2,000 companies with it. Eventually, AWS disabled the faulty automation, manually corrected records, flushed DNS caches, and gradually restored traffic. But this outage is still quite scary. It showed how a single bug can trigger failure globally. This time it was an honest mistake, but I can't even imagine what will happen once attacks like this are happening more frequently and intentionally.